The Galactic Council's emergency session had been called with unprecedented urgency. Representatives from 47 species filled the crystalline chamber, their concern palpable in the air. On the central holographic display, footage played, on repeat, humans walking alongside creatures that should not exist. Commander Elise Ward stood in the defendant's circle, her expression calm despite the chaos erupting around her. She wore the standard uniform of the Terran Ecological Corps, but the creature beside her made every council member's protective membranes twitch with instinct. Therian stood 9 feet tall at the shoulder, his obsidian scales reflecting the chamber's bioluminescent lighting. The Vakrine predator was supposed to be extinct, hunted to oblivion 3 centuries ago by the Zelnari expansion. Yet here he was, muscles coiled with deadly precision, golden eyes scanning the room with an intelligence that made seasoned warriors uncomfortable. "Commander Ward," the Council Arbiter's voice resonated through translation implants. "You stand accused of violating Protocol 7, the preservation of endangered ecosystems. You were explicitly forbidden from making contact with wildlife planets designated as recovery zones." Elise smiled slightly. "With respect, Arbiter, we didn't violate anything. We were already there." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Arbiter's crest flared in confusion. "Explain yourself." "When Earth joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago, you imposed your protocols on us," Elise began, her voice carrying the weight of controlled defiance. "You told us which planets were off-limits, which species were extinct, which ecosystems were beyond saving. But humans have a peculiar habit, Arbiter. We don't accept extinction very well." She gestured, and her wrist display projected images into the chamber. 6 different species, each more formidable than the last. Beside the Vakrine predators were the thornback leviathans from Kepler 442b, massive creatures with crystalline spines that could tear through starship hulls. There were the phase stalkers of Proxima 7, beings that existed partially out of phase with normal spacetime. The list continued. Ember drakes, void serpents, and the terrifying razor swarms that had once depopulated an entire sector. All declared extinct, Elise continued, all written off by council surveys. But you never asked the right questions. You assumed extinction because you couldn't find them. We humans, we looked harder. The Zelnari representative stood, his voice sharp with accusation. You claim to have found these creatures before our ban? Impossible. Our ecological surveys were thorough. Therian's low growl reverberated through the chamber, and the Zelnari sat down quickly. The Vakrine's mouth opened slightly, revealing rows of teeth designed to tear through armor plating, but his gaze remained fixed on Elise with something that looked distinctly like respect. Your surveys were thorough in cataloging death, Elise replied. But Earth has experience with bringing species back from the brink. Before we reached the stars, we'd already saved our own apex predators from extinction. Wolves, tigers, elephants, whales. We understood something fundamental that the Council forgot. She placed her hand on Therian's scaled shoulder. The gesture was casual, intimate even, and it sent shockwaves through the assembly. To touch an apex predator with such confidence was beyond comprehension for most species. Predators don't want to go extinct, Elise said. They want to survive. And when you offer them partnership instead of domination, when you prove you can hunt alongside them rather than simply hunt them, they respond. The holographic display shifted, showing human settlements on 6 different worlds. In each, the supposedly extinct species moved freely among human colonists. Children played in the shadows of thornback leviathans. Farmers worked fields protected by phase stalkers. The ember drakes roosted on specially designed platforms integrated into human architecture. This is madness, the Polarian delegate hissed. These are apex predators. They would turn on you, slaughter your young, destroy everything you build. Therian made a sound that the translation implants struggled to interpret, settling on something approximating laughter mixed with disdain. May I speak? The Vakrine's voice, when translated, carried layers of meaning that pure sound could never convey. The Arbiter hesitated, then nodded. You call us extinct because you tried to kill us and we hid, Therian began, his golden eyes sweeping across the Council. You call us predators as if it means we are mindless killers. But we remember. We remember when the Zelnari came with their atmospheric processors and their colony ships. We remember when the Polarians bombarded our breeding grounds from orbit. We remember every species that looked at our worlds and saw only resources to exploit. He turned his massive head toward Elise. Then the humans came. They studied us. They learned our languages, our patterns, our needs. They didn't try to change our worlds to suit them. They changed themselves. And when we attacked their first settlements, testing them as we would test any pack, they fought back with ferocity that earned our respect. Then they offered treaty. Treaty? The word seemed to choke the Arbiter. With non-sentient predators? Non-sentient? Tharian's amusement was evident even through translation. We built civilization while your species were still learning to use fire. We simply chose to build differently. Humans understood this. They recognized kinship, where you saw only animals to be managed or eliminated. Elise pulled up more data. The 6 species we've partnered with aren't just surviving, they're thriving. Population numbers are stable and growing. More importantly, they're teaching us. The phase stalkers helped us develop new FTL navigation techniques. The void serpents showed us how to survive in deep space without conventional life support. This isn't domestication, Arbiter. It's alliance. The chamber erupted in debate. Some delegates demanded immediate sanctions. Others called for investigation. But Elise noticed the younger representatives, those from species who had themselves been colonized and suppressed, watching with different eyes. The Arbiter finally raised a tendril for silence. Commander Ward, the Council will deliberate on your case. However, I must ask, what is your goal in all this? Why defy our protocols? Elise's answer was simple and devastating in its honesty. Because extinction is a choice, Arbiter. The Council chose to let these species die rather than put in the work to save them. Humans refuse to make that choice. We've been apex predators and endangered species both. We know what it takes to survive against impossible odds. And we know the most important rule, which is. She looked at Tharian, and the Vakreen's eyes gleamed with shared understanding. The pack that hunts together survives together. The Council's verdict would take weeks, but as Elise and Tharian walked from the chamber, followed by representatives from a dozen species requesting private meetings, she knew the real decision had already been made. Humanity hadn't just domesticated 6 extinct apex species. They had fundamentally challenged the galaxy's understanding of coexistence, predation, and survival itself. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all.